What's going on, everybody? Welcome, everyone, to the Best of, Worst of, the podcast where we take the bad with the good in the world of pop culture. My name is Jason, and joining me today, here's the story of a man named Jesse. My co-host, Jesse.
We're going to get into that one.
It's so dumb.
Yeah, we're going to get to that one. While we're... Okay, which TV dad do you prefer? Real quick, let's just start off the top with this. I forget, the Brady dad. I forget his first name in the show. The Brady. Mike Brady.
Mike Brady.
Or Darren from Bewitched.
Do I have to incorporate, is it only like TV show related, or can I incorporate creepy things I know from outside?
No, just the TV, just their persona on
in
the
TV.
In the
world of the show?
Yes.
I'll take Mike Brady every day.
Oh, yeah? Okay. So, see, I like the original. I think my favorite there is the original Darren. I don't like the second one. I think it's Dick Sargent is the one I like. I don't like Dick York.
Yeah.
But Mike Brady is second to Dick Sargent, but over Dick York. Anyway, so if you haven't gathered, for today's episode, Jason and I are doing what we'll call another quarantine-themed episode, since we're all probably watching a lot more TV at home than we were prior to the pandemic. So this week we're going to jump into the frustratingly catchy world of TV themes.
Aren't they?
Yes, very much so.
Gracious.
Now, we wanted to do clips, and we really thought of how we could do it, but we have this sort of weird thing about not tempting the FCC and being legally reprimanded. It's just a pet peeve, I guess. You know, it's just me. You know, call me old-fashioned. Right. I don't like being sued, but that's okay, because we're going to describe these songs in such vivid detail they'll be playing in your heads all week, for better or worse. And I think, Jason, you had some ideas of maybe posting something online, posting some of our favorites on our Facebook page.
Oh, for sure. I want to, we'll post some links on Facebook to the YouTube videos. All of these theme songs that we're going to talk and go through today are all available on YouTube. There's several articles that we found that we'll link to that have a lot of information. And I'll tell you, Jess, I had maybe more fun researching this episode than any single episode we've ever done. And I got lost in the world of TV theme songs. And there's a handful that I've listened to many, many times this week. So I want our listeners to have that exact same enjoyment and dive into that YouTube rabbit hole and go after it and go have some fun. TV theme songs are great content for our quarantined world.
Yeah, I agree, and I didn't realize how much I loved TV themes until I started into this and started going through it. I was like, man, I really, because we're gonna get into there's some lists online from some different websites where they kind of did user polls, in some cases just wrote columns about the best and the 50 best and whatnot. There's not a lot for worse, but so we are going to talk about some of our least favorites. And honestly, I had to dig for ones I didn't like. I agree. I love TV themes, and I do think that it's kind of it's a bit of a lost art at this point. We'll get into the different eras, but I don't think we're currently in a good era for TV themes. Although I do think
quite the opposite. There
is one very good one that we'll get into, or we'll mention briefly, that is fairly recent, and I think one of I would say kind of a classic TV theme that, but it's a more recent show. Anyway, with all that being said, let's go where everybody knows our name, Jason, with some
fun facts.
Fun facts, indeed. Okay, so first and foremost, let's talk one of the most prolific TV theme songwriters from the 80s and 90s, and a part of all of 80s and 90s kids' lives, whether they are aware of it or not, and that is a man named Jesse Frederick. So Jesse Frederick is the writer and usually the performer of the TV themes that he's written, and he's written some big ones, such as Everywhere You Look from Full House, As Days Go By from Family Matters, Second Time Around from Step by Step, And he also did the theme song to Perfect Strangers, although I don't really know that one.
Man, TGIF just had him on lock.
Yes, thank God
right?
it's Frederick.
ABC just had him on retainer.
That's what it was.
Yes.
So prolific. Yeah, absolutely. Like, at least in that era. He hasn't done a whole lot since that sort of era of sitcoms sort of waned. And he had a music career that he tried in the 70s to some critical success, but no commercial success. I think he had an album that came out in 1973 that was produced by Todd Rundgren, so he had some connections there. Todd Rundgren himself, kind of not a super well-known musician, but I'm sure a lot of folks would know his music, whether they know it or not, but know his name. But Jesse Frederick, yeah, he very prominent songwriter from that era. And also, I thought this was interesting. So Full House, arguably maybe his most famous theme, but the character of Jesse Katsopoulos, played by John Stamos, who you may know from playing the bongos for the Beach Boys.
Right.
He is.
Right.
That's where I know him from. So the character of Jesse Katsopoulos was originally named Adam Cochran in original drafts of the pilot. And it's rumored that Jesse Frederick, coming on board and working on the theme song and some of the music for the show, served as the inspiration for the character's change to the sort of rockin' Uncle Jesse that we know and love. Other folks who worked on the show said that Uncle Jesse was supposed to be a reference to Elvis's dead brother or something. But
really,
yeah,
I'm picturing Uncle Adam, Adam Cochran, who's just seems to me like a more buttoned up, less cool guy. Just like, oh, Uncle Adam, and he's like, have mercy. Like, it's just a little.
I picture.
It's just he's a dweebish.
Yeah. Which they already had Bob Saget and Dave Coulier. They didn't need another dweeb, so they made a good call in changing that to. I'm picturing Adam Cochran as Carrie Elwes from Liar Liar.
Yes,
that's what I'm picturing.
No, yeah. That's exactly. Adam Cochran is the Carrie Elwes version of Uncle Jesse. Yes.
But apparently Jesse Frederick has that kind of aesthetic of his personal style where he's kind of leather jackets and mullets, I guess, at the time. But yeah, Jesse Frederick. So like I mentioned, so he did Full House, Family Matters, and Step by Step are his big ones. Which of those are your favorites?
So this is going to be a little out of left field. So just full disclosure, my daughter is working her way through the TGIF library.
Good.
She's watched Full House a ton of times. I'm over that song. I've heard it too many times.
Yeah.
I think the Family Matters one is good, but I stand for Step by Step.
Yeah.
I think of that one and I sing that one in my head more often.
I'm going to go with Family Matters, or as it should have been called after season 2, The Urkel Show.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going to go with it's the song As Days Go By. That one's my favorite. That's the one that gets in my head, and it has been in my head all week that we've been researching this. But I do Step by Step's one of those that I kind of forget about, but I really loved that show. Like. For a while there, I loved. I can never remember his name, but he played Cody.
Yes.
Yeah, he had.
I looked him up recently.
Yeah.
Because we're almost done with season 1 of Step by Step, watching with my daughter.
He's so good on that.
He's amazing, and he's barely done anything since.
Well, I know he had some personal stuff that got him out of the show, but from what I heard, it was mostly unfounded, sort of like it was just blowback from like a bad divorce that derailed his career. But yeah, Step by Step is doesn't get mentioned enough. Yeah, and
nope,
a good theme song from Jesse Frederick. In more fun fact theme song based news, the X-Files theme begins with a dissonant chord. If you're are you an X-Files fan at all? Did you watch it at all back in the day? Or
so this used to be a thing when I first started dating my wife. So we were in I don't know, we were 16, 17 years old. This was kind of appointment viewing with her family.
Okay.
Like it was Sunday night, 9:00. We'd go over to her parents' house and we watch X-Files. I was not somebody that was like, I was not into TV in the way I am now back then.
Yeah.
And it was just something to do, and it was an enjoyable episode.
Yeah. You had a life back then, is what you're saying.
Yes, I have lost all semblance of it since then. But no, that was, I wasn't a completionist, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So again, as we've pointed out, I'm much, much younger than you. Really like jarringly younger than you. But so growing up for me, the X-Files was super scary. And like I remember watching a TV show and it would go off and the X-Files would start coming on. And I would get, I didn't like the theme song and the intro freaked me out. So I would turn it off and change it. And I never watched the X-Files.
Interesting.
And then when I was in high school and during the summer, I would literally just stay up all night, through the whole summer. And that was when I got into the X-Files. Because it became one of those things where, like, it was weird because as a kid I loved aliens and I loved alien movies and I loved all this stuff, but I just never got into the X-Files, and I didn't. No one in my family did. And when I got older and I was really into like conspiracy theories and UFO stuff and ghost stuff and all that, cryptozoology and stuff. Every kid goes through their cryptozoology phase. I got
I'm telling you, I'm not looking forward to my kids going through.
It's a tough time. They don't tell you about that in the DARE program. That's the real gateway drug, cryptozoology. But I would watch X-Files reruns on UPN at like 3 in the morning, and that was when they'd show like 2 or 3. They'd show it till like 6 in the morning, and that was when I got into it. And now I've seen every episode since. And I think I've told the story before. It was the first TV show I ever bought on DVD. Bought season 7 on DVD for like $120.
It's unbelievable how much those used to cost.
I sold plasma to get it. Anyway, so the X-Files theme song, regardless of whether you've seen the show or not, the X-Files theme song is very, very popular in the pop culture zeitgeist. But if you listen to it, it begins with this really dissonant chord on the keyboard, and that the composer Mark Snow says he discovered when he put his arm on the keys in frustration while trying to find the right sound for the theme. So he was working on the theme song, he couldn't find the right theme for the tone of the show, and he just kind of set his elbow down on the keyboard, and apparently it made this weird dissonant chord, and he kind of replicated it and recreated it, and that was what sort of opened his creative juices to write the rest of the theme. And of course the rest is history. It's a very, very famous song and one of my favorites.
Interesting.
Tell us about the next one, Jason. This one is a show from the 60s, so this would have been when you were a kid.
I was going to say, you stepped on my joke. I was going to be like, now for something from my era. No, I've probably seen every episode of Gilligan's Island because it was on TBS.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Every morning when I was a kid. Russell Johnson and Don Wells, who played the professor and Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island, were famously left out of the roll call in season 1. Yeah, it was the movie star and the rest.
Yeah.
That
it always bugged me.
And it always bugged me. This was changed after season 2. That's a theme I saw across the board. I don't know if you saw that. A handful of themes changed.
Yeah.
After season 1, or sometimes after season 4 or 5, there would be kind of an adjustment. But after season 2 and those characters gained popularity, Johnson and Wells reportedly would send birthday cards to each other throughout the years signed as The Rest, which is it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, and
the pettiness on that is excellent.
I remember being bugged by that, like when I was a kid, because those were seriously my 2 favorite characters. As a young man, and every guy, every straight male picks a Ginger or Mary Ann. I'm
a Mary Ann. I'm a Mary Ann.
That's your
all day.
Yeah, I was never a Ginger person. I always liked Mary Ann.
Mm-mm.
But also
always.
Dawn Wells, I thought she had good comedic timing. I thought her character was great. I
agree.
Professor was, and so I remember being bugged by that. But I love the pettiness of the rest. So there's other so as far as composers, I looked at, there are several folks who have composed multiple popular theme songs. So Jesse Frederick, I think, might be the most prominent, at least in our childhoods. Quincy Jones has done a couple that we'll get into in a bit. But there's another one that I was surprised by that you did some research on.
Yeah, this one I loved. Who we back in the day knew as Alan Thicke, and today, I guess the kids listening to this, it's Robin Thicke's dad. But Robin Thicke got his talent naturally. I did not realize. I think of Alan Thicke as the sitcom dad on Growing Pains and several made-for-Disney Channel movies from the late 80s. But he was not just that. He was a very successful TV theme composer and a singer even. He had two super famous sitcom themes. He wrote and performed Different Strokes. So late 70s, like 76 to 82 or 78 to 86, something like that would be the range on that show.
Nice.
And then the spinoff of Different Strokes, Facts of Life. He wrote that theme song as well. He did not perform that one, but wrote that. And then what I found interesting, I'm like, all right, so you can write specific for this. No, he was known for composing game show themes as well, including Joker's Wild, and then my favorite is the original Wheel of Fortune, which ran throughout the 80s. They updated it in the 90s, that runs today. But if you look up Wheel of Fortune, if you YouTube it, Wheel of Fortune original theme, it is a great poppin' piece of music. And it's full orchestra kind of stuff. It's just really interesting to me, this kind of eclectic skill set and background for Alan Thicke, who, I'm sorry, he's one of my favorite TV dads.
Yeah,
is Alan Thicke.
Yeah, I agree. I was shocked that Robin Thicke was his son. Even like when I found that out, like it seems obvious now, but I didn't know it at the time when Blurred Lines was out and stuff. And I was like, Alan Thicke seems so nice and wholesome, and Robin Thicke seems like the human version of like a liquor store bathroom. Like I don't. There's just something.
It is.
Although
he's changed his image a little.
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. The few times I've watched The Voice, Robin Thicke is surprisingly down to earth and tolerable. But
well, you got to watch. He is the best judge in my book. He's the best judge on Masked Singer.
Oh, what did I say? Did I say The Voice?
You
okay,
did.
The Masked Singer is what I meant. Good Lord, they all blur in my head.
They all meld together.
I just wanted to point out that if in as you were saying, talking about the game show themes there, I just had a moment where I was like, if anyone ever wondered if we are cool or not, the fact that you described the original Wheel of Fortune theme as poppin', I think is all the proof anyone needs.
Let me tell you, that original Wheel of Fortune slaps. Is that what I think that's what the kids are saying these days. So I wanted to kind of look at, to me, there's very distinct eras of TV themes. And if you look at history, they kind of, started obviously more musically in the beginnings with your, like I Love Lucy's and those type of things. And then I think they ramped up pretty significantly in the 60s and 70s. So I've got four different TV theme eras that I just wanted to discuss. The first I think of as the 60s and 70s dramas era.
Yeah.
Everything was a huge production. If you go back and listen, I mean, there are horns. There are those, what do you call this? You're a musician, like the waka chaka,
Yeah.
guitar ricks.
Yeah.
It's
like
kind of
like
thing going
wah-wah
on.
guitar. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There's just a lot of that real lean into that late 70s or late 60s and early 70s kind of thing, which I'm going to be honest, are my least favorite themes. There's way too much going on.
Yeah.
They're 90 seconds each. They're just ungodly. But they've got very high production values. Quincy Jones was in this a lot. He did one. I'm going to tell you right now. Go look up the Ironside theme.
I can hear
and
it
you don't
already.
even know.
I've never heard it.
You
I
don't
can
even
hear
know.
it.
That's right. But the thing is, you've never seen a minute of that show. But you know that theme already. I'm going to just go ahead and tell you've heard it.
Okay.
Hawaii Five-0 is, I think, the one that, even if you didn't watch the original show and it's been redone, and the reboots run for a decade.
Yeah.
With that kind of, and I think that one more with the instrumentals side of things is just a really, really good piece of music. And so that one was done by Morton Stevens. And then the Rockford Files is another kind of really fun one from that era. It's Mike Post and James Carpenter that did it. And I listened to all three of those today to different levels. I kind of like the Rockford Files and Hawaii Five-0 the best, but I don't love a lot of the other. There's a lot of schlocky stuff from that era.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that era?
No, I agree. I'm less familiar with it. I guess Charlie's Angels would kind of fall into that era as well.
Yes,
I think
Charlie's Angels would fall
maybe
into that.
be of those. And in the 60s and 70s, I think it called for, like, those themes were more like action-y sort of shows, and I think it sort of called for that. But I think I think most people are going to prefer the stuff from their childhood, so.
Yeah, you do. I think you do.
Yeah, so the kind, as far as like we're talking about like the different sort of genres of TV themes that I most align with, I think, are going to be your so there's like sitcom stories where
so I see these as, and I'll let you dive into it. To me, these are the sitcom story songs.
Yeah.
So they tell the backstory of the show, or they lead you in. Like, if you have never seen an episode, you could watch the theme song and be right in the action.
Right.
Tell us about a few of those.
So, like Brady Bunch, it gives it gives the whole rundown of that family, again, for better or worse, mostly worse. Gilligan's Island, it's like an old sea shanty ballad, I think the song is called The Ballad of Gilligan's Island. But Fresh Prince did it, Jefferson's to some degree, but Jefferson's is kind of a standalone song. But it gets the idea
but
of
to
the
me,
song, of the
I guess the song with the visual.
Yeah.
And that's where I felt like the Jeffersons and Dukes of Hazzard, those were standalone songs that were brought in that were like, oh, this with the visual of the intro tells me everything I need to know.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Addams Family just sort of tells you, that they're creepy and spooky and altogether ooky.
That is true about the Addams Family.
I don't know what ooky means, but that's...
Well, it rhymes with spooky, and that's all you need to know.
That's right. I listened to that one today, but not by choice. My kids like that new Addams Family movie, and that's like what they want to listen to on their Alexa or Echo or whatever. So I've heard the Addams Family theme more than any person should.
Interesting.
So I think my favorite of the TV themes, and I like the type of genres, and this kind of comes in where my childhood comes in your early 90s and into the mid 90s and whatnot, is, and I think the last great era of sitcom theme songs and TV theme songs in general, what sitcoms particularly were good about this, is it's like light rock, almost yacht rock, sort of easy listening songs.
That's exactly right.
Your Full House, anything by Jesse Frederick, basically.
Yes. Jesse Frederick is the king of the light rock sitcom lead-in.
Yeah. Boy Meets World had a few different theme songs, but I liked the one. That one sounded more, that was, I guess, a little more 90s not alternative, but 90s, like, adult contemporary Rembrandt style. I think it was the second, or maybe it might have been the third theme song they had. Those
I'm just
those
thinking
were my
of
favorite.
any of these songs that could have been sung by John Cicada. I don't know that anybody will get that reference, but these were a staple of the 80s, and to me, my favorite part is that they're often paired with on-screen actor names with a forced smile and turn to the camera.
Right.
Just think right now of the Full House intro, the Family Matters intro,
yeah.
but it ran through Facts of Life, Golden Girls, Growing Pains. Everybody had it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I agree. I think that's the best era
Yeah.
that we had.
well, I think that takes you through like the late '80s, or most of the '80s, and even really back to the '70s. I would say the '70s. I think in the '70s and the early '80s, the theme songs were meant to kind of like, hey, this song needs to be able to stand on its own as a song, and like you would see songs chart on the billboards and stuff. You didn't really see that
Oh, yeah.
in the '80s and '90s.
No.
Welcome Back, Cotter. That song, the theme
Yeah.
song, that is a great song, and
Yes.
it doesn't have separate. I've watched Welcome Back, Cotter on Nick at Night here and there, but I never was a big fan of it or anything back in the day. I'd watch it on Nick at Night or TV Land, but I love that song, and
Yeah.
you didn't see that it wasn't meant. '80s and '90s, its songs weren't meant to stand alone as much. Like it was meant to be. It's just certain.
If you've ever heard the full version of what's the name of the Everywhere You Look,
Yeah.
like the full version, it's too long.
It's weird. It's always
you don't want anything to do with it.
It's always weird when you hear the full version of a theme song. There's a comedian, I can't remember his name, but he has this great joke that I'll tell here. But
Okay.
it's just all it is. It's talking about the Friends theme, and how basically what happened was they wrote. Is that the Rembrandts? Yeah, that's the Rembrandts.
Yeah.
They I always want to say Deep Blue something, but the Rembrandts wrote the Friends theme, from what I understand, and then after the show got big, they wanted a full version of the song to release, try to get it to chart or whatever.
It was on the radio a lot in the mid '90s.
So apparently, but all the other verses and the rest of the song had to come as an afterthought. So you have this weird thing where like the first verse, famously says,
Your job's a joke, you're broke.
No, it says-
your love life's DOA.
No, it says so. It does say that, which is oddly bleak, but it was describing Matthew Perry's future. It says so. No one told you life was going to be this way. And then in
Yeah.
the second verse, there's
Clap, 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 clap.
Yeah, yes, that part. So then in the second verse, there's a line that says, "Your mama told you there would be days like these," and that comedian points out. So which is it? No one told you life was going to be this way, or your mama told you there'd be days like these? So I think
Right.
that shows a good example of how when you hear the full versions of these songs, and most of these songs are a full song, it is weird and jarring and
It is.
a crime against nature.
Yes. So my last era
Yes.
is what I'm dubbing the modern drama.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I think there's been a resurgence. And these are often short if it's a network show, but can be long on a premium cable or a cable show. They're mostly instrumental. And what I also like is that they're often used as musical cues
Yeah.
throughout the show. The one that comes to mind is Friday Night Lights that did this. I think of Mad Men, obviously Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
with that kind of that kind of power behind it. But there's been a lot of these, and I think we've come back full circle to some really good themes in the modern drama era. So my question to you, do you miss theme songs?
I do, because when I notice a really good theme song, it really stands out to me. Or if I'm revisiting an old show and I'm like, oh man, what a great theme song, and I think it's just, in our era of binge watching everything. I mean, even if you watch, we've joked, I think, on the podcast before about, if you watch The Office on Netflix, do you skip the intro? Like, that's how you know if it's a good theme song. Do you skip it? Because
Right.
we have that option now
Right.
where we have an option where we don't even want to hear theme songs. You just skip it. And there are shows I do it with, and honestly, there are shows I don't. Mad Men is a show that I don't skip the theme song because I love it. I've been rewatching House recently. House has a great theme song. And it does make you think when you're like, oh, I can't really think of anything within... I can think of one show. Now, granted, I don't watch a ton of TV, but I can think of one show within the last 10 years, maybe one or two shows within the last 10 years that started within the last 10 years that I really loved.
So you know what I'm going to throw out? I just thought of these two, and they're not going to be represented on any of our lists later. But this is a creator, Robert Carlock. He is a creator with Tina Fey of some of the best sitcoms of the last decade, I think. And I think they have figured out the short, quippy, the 30 Rock theme song
Yeah.
is fun, and the Kimmy Schmidt theme song.
That's the one I was hinting at earlier. So
Okay.
this is a good place to talk about it. So Kimmy Schmidt, I was surprised in all the lists I looked at. Most of your the best TV themes of all time. Most of them, when you get down to the last 5, are very iconic. Usually older shows, from the 80s, 90s. But Kimmy Schmidt was consistently in like the top 5.
It's great.
It's just I was like, it stood out to me because I was like, that show came out in an era where theme songs, especially theme songs with any vocal, were on the way out. I mean, The Office has a great theme song, but you don't really hear theme songs anymore that have any vocals or any lyrics. Everything's instrumental, even comedies, like to your point earlier, dramas. It's all just,
I would consider that less, while there is a vocal element, it's more commenting on culture and meme culture and the songification of news clips.
Right.
It's more commenting on that, which is, I think, takes it to another level anyway, because it's a joke inside of a joke.
Right. That's what works for it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's very
excellent.
Meta. And it's a catchy, and it's really catchy. If you I've watched like the first season of Kimmy Schmidt. I loved it. It's just one of those, there's so much out there, just fall off of stuff. But I do that theme song did stand out to me, and I just thought, I was like, man, this thing is like consistent. And if you look at these different lists, and we'll maybe post the link to a couple of these. Rolling Stone did a reader poll. Paste Magazine, Saturday Evening Post has a really great article and they'll link to them and whatnot. So, but looking through these, there is not a ton of consistency as far as the rankings. Once you get down to the top 10, I would say you start seeing it. But there's still like stuff where in one list it's in the the bottom half, and then another list might be in the top 3. But Kimmy Schmidt was always near the top, and it just stood out to me.
I agree.
So
let's dive into some of the best that we kind of researched that we looked through this week.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about these because I want to get to, because these are the ones that were consistently in the top of the different articles and websites that we looked at. Like I said, Rolling Stone had a reader poll, Paste Magazine. So the Cheers theme is consistently in the top 2 or 3. It was written by a guy named Gary Portnoy, co-written with Judy Hart-Angelo. Cheers theme, super famous. This title is actually Where Everybody Knows Your Name. Go figure. Wonder where they got that from. But it was their third attempt at a song for Cheers. They'd written 2 other ones that the network did not care for, or the producers of the show, and then they kind of landed on this third one that became the theme song, and now one of the most famous theme songs of all time. And went through some different rewrites, like the song, sort of describing like bad things that are, like bad days and just wanting to go drink yourself into an oblivion at a bar, I guess. So there were some like early drafts of that song that were the producers kicked back because it was like, they said, this is too regional. It's not like it was stuff about like watching the Red Sox lose and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's odd. Cheers is an oddly upbeat, charming, and inviting theme for a show about a bar.
About functional alcoholics.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm missing with Cheers. Like, I've seen a handful. It's on many people's list as one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. I guess I need to go back and revisit.
Yeah.
But it's daunting. It's 11 years. It's just such a...
I liked it. I watched it again. Nick at Night, TV Land era back in the '90s when that was when Nick at Night was huge and TV Land was just kind of coming out. But I watched it then. My parents liked it a lot, but it's not something that's ever really clicked with me. Versus there's a lot of, and it's not really because of age. I mean, obviously I was a kid when I think Cheers. What year did Cheers come out? Like early '80s, late '70s.
I think it was on from like 83 or 81 to 92 or something like that.
Yeah, so I'm
going to look it up right now.
A small child when it ended, but some of my, from that era, there's some great shows, and It's just
82 to 93.
Never
82 to 93.
Oh, gotcha. It never clicked with me. I do remember liking Woody Harrelson on the show,
Yeah, and he was a late addition.
I thought he was early and left.
No, there was a different bartender, co-bartender, in like the first 2 seasons.
Oh, okay.
I want to say he came in late.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. But
we digress.
Yeah. So another one that pops up a lot is the MASH theme, which I've never seen an episode of MASH, to be honest.
Be lucky.
Yeah, I've.
It was a slog, and I didn't enjoy a minute of it.
Well, as you got right in one of your trivia questions last week, its finale is the most watched non-Super Bowl program of all time. The theme song has the upbeat title of "Suicide is Painless."
Yeah,
and it was written. The music was written by a guy named Johnny Mandel. The lyrics were written by a kid named Michael Altman, who was 14 years old at the time. So the show MASH is based on the movie, or I guess kind of not really a spinoff. I guess just sort of a adaptation of. But Robert Altman was the director of that. So Michael Altman was his 14-year-old son. And apparently, Robert Altman had told Johnny Mandel, or Mandel maybe, to write a song. And he gave him the stipulation: it has to be called "Suicide is Painless," and it has to have the stupidest, dumbest lyrics you've ever written. And he had a hard time with it. He gave it to his son. He wrote it in 5 minutes. Altman later joked that he made $70,000 for directing the movie, while his son made more than $1 million for writing the lyrics to the very, very popular song. After the
interesting.
After that show ran for 3 times as long as the Korean conflict on which it was based.
Yes, that song it instantly triggers. You can hear it in your head.
Yeah.
But it's a downer of a song. I feel.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not a downer of a song is the theme for Sanford and Son, known as The Street Beater,
which is I did not know
Quincy
that.
Jones.
I didn't know that was the name of the song until we were researching
I didn't
this.
either.
Perfect. I can't imagine it being anything else.
No, that has to be the name of that song. It was written by Quincy Jones, peaked at number 294 on the Billboard charts, but it's endured as one of the most popular TV theme songs ever.
So good.
I can hear it right now. I never loved that show. I've watched more of that show than I should have, there was nothing on television when I was a kid. So this is what you saw, but no, it's
a great. I love it. I mean, and yeah, it is. It's one of those. It's like yeah.
Yeah, you can hear it right now.
Be careful, because we'll just spend the rest of the podcast just singing The Street Beater. But it's kind of like the X-Files theme, I think, in that it's just super. It's gotten like this theme song is almost bigger than the show. You know, I mean, X-Files is definitely a big show, but it's kind of niche in its appeal, and there's not a lot of people that there's a lot of folks out there that didn't watch it. So I think even people who don't even know Sanford and Son, younger folks and whatnot, I think still would know the song. It's an all-timer. Simpsons theme was also consistently in the top 5 for these. It's written by Danny Elfman, who's a prolific composer and a composer for a lot of Tim Burton movies. Very distinct sound. Nightmare Before Christmas. He's also the singing voice for Jack Skellington. Anyway, very distinct sound. He wrote the Simpsons theme, and he wrote it in his car on the way home from a meeting with the Simpsons creator Matt Groening. So
it's amazing how talented people do things so fast.
I read that and I was like, well, is he at a stoplight? Did he write it down? I'm like, oh no, he just wrote it in his head. Like, it didn't even dawn on me. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, he's a genius. One of my favorite composers, film composers, and one of my favorite TV themes. So I didn't know this. I never really thought about this. The first 3 notes, The Simpsons, that is Danny Elfman and 2 of his friends singing that. But yeah, very super iconic theme song, and written in his car on the way home from a meeting with the creator.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Speaking of iconic theme songs and storytelling songs that we referenced earlier, the prolific Quincy Jones partnered with Will Smith I would almost guarantee you and I could both sing this entire thing now. We're not going to, straight from our memory.
Yeah.
But Yo Home to Bel Air
Yeah.
from The Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Yes. And produced by Jazzy Jeff. So
Well, of course.
yeah.
Well, he needs to get his credit. I'm not really sure what his talent is and or was, but he was the DJ
Yeah,
Khaled of the early 90s.
Well, I think I don't know for sure, but from what I understand, Will Smith was the lyricist and the rapper, and he was the guy who made the beats, and and was
Okay.
Yeah, so. And hilarious on the show. I loved him on Fresh Prince.
He was
one of my
great.
favorite sight gags from any show ever is him getting thrown out of the house. Which I
Yes.
found this out. This is a fun fact that I just have in my noggin. They filmed that maybe a couple times, but they basically filmed that shot of him getting thrown out the front door by Uncle Phil one time. They filmed it.
And they just aired it all those
Every
times.
time he was going to get thrown out, they'd have him in the same clothes that he was wearing in that shot. And I think...
And they would just insert it.
I think
That's
I'm sure they probably
hilarious.
filmed it a couple times for like episodes where he maybe got thrown out of a different house or something, But for the most part, it's the same shot of him getting thrown out. There's shots... one that always sticks out to me was he threw himself out one time. It always cracked me up. But yeah, that one's great, and there's a lot of like really great. We could do a BOWO Fresh Prince of Bel Air and just go, because there are some. That's a great sitcom. I mean, it's hilarious. It never really gets bad. Like it kind of ended when it needed to. It got heartfelt when it needed to. It touched on some big issues. Race relations and police brutality and stuff like that. And
I need to know, much like your Marianne or Ginger, are you first Aunt Viv or second Aunt Viv?
I'm going to go. Let me remember in my head. Get them. I am going to go first Aunt Viv.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the correct answer. First Aunt Viv is the answer there.
From what I've read,
Well,
she
that's
was awful to work with.
I hear that too.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of the list of what figured into the top 5 of most of what we looked at. We'll just hit real quick. We found a couple of worst of lists at uprocks.com, grunge.com, a couple of worst of lists. They had a lot of the same things. The Nanny was a big mention on most of these lists. 2.5 Men was on almost all the lists.
Yeah.
And 2.5 Men is just awful.
It's awful.
And then Barney and Friends, which it's not
It's a
bad
kid
for a
thing.
preschooler.
Yeah.
It's just overly done.
I get it. Friends, I thought the show Friends is interestingly comes up on. It's kind of like Monopoly from last week's episode, where it comes up on the worst and the best list for a lot of these if you look online. But the Friends theme did pop up a few times on these worst lists. But
people are just tired of it.
yeah, I agree. And I am,
what
frankly,
it is.
but I wouldn't. It's not one of the worst for me, but it's
not one of the worst
best.
songs. You have to objectively look at it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive into our best and worst of. Jess, I'm excited to hear what you've got for us today as we go through. So best of, we broke it out into comedy, animated, and drama.
Yeah.
You want to go? Or let's do animated first. Let's go. Let's go alphabetically.
Okay, so
So we're gonna do animated.
Yep.
Best of, and we'll throw in some honorable mentions and talk through them.
Yeah.
But we have each identified our best of in animated, drama, or comedy and drama. Go ahead with your best of, Jess.
Yeah, so this could change for me on any given day, but at least when we were writing these notes, the one that really stood out to me was The Simpsons. But because we already mentioned that and talked about it, and it's just so iconic, I'm going to go with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme as maybe my favorite. But there are a lot of great, really great 80s and 90s cartoon TV themes. So some of my honorable mentions, Doug from Nickelodeon's Doug, the Animaniacs theme, which I could probably sing every word of right now.
We could sing it right now. Yep.
Pinky and the Brain, same thing. I could probably do everyone. And then an instrumental one, but one that I love is the X-Men animated show from the 90s. That theme song, that one is great.
It's the best. In fact, that was I was gonna pick that as my best of, but I'll pivot since we just discussed it. It's my favorite instrumental cartoon. It's probably my favorite cartoon ever. I'm gonna pivot to a fun one that just gets stuck in your head, and that's DuckTales.
Yeah.
DuckTales is a great cartoon theme. Tells you a story. Also, just I don't know, just fun.
It's a good one.
But honorable mention, and this probably should have been a number one as well, is Transformers.
Yeah.
Like Transformers, the original from like the 84 series, like More Than Meets the Eye.
Yeah.
It's excellent. And then I don't know what it is with me and Disney ducks, but Darkwing Duck is also an underrated. All the made for afternoon Disney shows from the 90s were great. Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Chippendale Rescue Rangers. They all had good theme songs. Darkwing Duck's my favorite.
Yeah, I love that one. I remember if you said Tailspin, that's a good one. So let's go to comedy.
Okay, we'll go to comedy.
So for me, again, this one was tough. Because there's a lot of great ones. I think drama was the easiest category for me, just because I feel like the ones, at least to me, that are the best TV themes were usually comedy or cartoons. But for comedy, I'm gonna go with my heart, and go with the Muppet Show theme. It's time to.
I somehow knew you were gonna get there.
Yeah, that one. I love it. I love the Muppets so much. We've got to do, just for my own sanity. I've started this podcast with you. We did this purely as a venture for me to be able to talk about the Muppets, and we've not got to talk about them yet. If we don't do BOWO Muppet movies, I'm gonna quit. So honorable mentions for me, I'm gonna go with The Office, iconic, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, obviously. The Munsters, I love that theme song.
It's like a surfer theme song.
Exactly.
But it is good.
That's great. Fall Out Boys based a whole song around it a few years ago. And I say a few years ago, it was probably 10 years ago now. I don't know. But Fall Out Boy did it, and it infuriated me. One that I thought about late, and I just kind of threw it in here. If I thought about it, I may have talked about it more. But the theme song from That 70s Show is great. It's based on a real song called "In the Street" by Big Star, sort of glam rock band from the 70s. But it's a reworked version of that song, and covered by Cheap Trick. It had another situation where the first season is a little different than the subsequent seasons. But that's a great theme song. That 70s Show is a show that was so big at the time, and now it doesn't ever come up much anymore. And I think it's because they had a couple really bad last seasons, and
they hung on too long. They were around like 9 years.
Yeah,
right?
They were on for a while, and I loved that show. I watched every episode till it ended, and the last season's not good.
I think the same thing happened to Scrubs.
Yeah,
it was big. The last couple seasons just it's just not remembered fondly.
Yeah, and also I think I was looking back. I was watching some old episodes of How I Met Your Mother, and I saw a rerun of That 70s Show, and there's a lot of jokes that have really not aged well.
I'm sure.
You can say that for about any show, but it just.
Well, they were probably borderline for the late 90s or early 2000s.
Yeah.
Because That 70s Show was probably, like a 98, 99 show?
Yeah, it came out in 98.
Or was it? Okay. So, yeah, that's crazy. We're farther away from when that began than it was from when it was mocking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's wild.
Right.
But anyway, That 70s Show, I stand by one of my favorite sitcoms.
Yeah.
What's some of your favorite
good stuff.
Comedy ones, Jason?
So I leaned farther back. I figured you'd have the 90s and the 2000s on lock. So I went back to my 80s roots, and
1880s.
Mine
right?
is the 1880s.
Yes.
Yeah. My favorite theme is "Growing Pains." As long as we got each other.
See, I don't even know some of those.
The world and heart and you and I. done by B.J. Thomas.
Okay.
And he sings it solo in season 1, but then there's multiple versions with multiple singers doing duets with him. One season, Dusty Springfield's doing the duet with him. But it's just really, really well done. I went back and listened, and I was like, which one of these is just my single favorite song? I was listening through 4 or 5 of them, and that one is my favorite. Honorable mentions in this category. The Facts of Life is an underrated, great theme song.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have seen Facts of Life.
I'll be honest, I don't know that I've
it.
ever watched an episode of Growing Pains or Facts of Life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I knew this would happen. So the first season 1 of Facts of Life has a different theme song, but because they retooled the show kind of changed. They reformatted it a little bit, and it's got a better theme song. So it's season 2 through 7 or whatever is the theme song that you want to look up.
Okay.
It's excellent. And then the one that I remembered when I was thinking through this was Give Me a Break. Are you even aware of what Give Me a Break is?
Other than breaking off a piece of a Kit Kat bar, no.
No. Okay, so Give Me a Break is a American sitcom that ran from like 81 to 87. Most of the episodes are available on YouTube. It stars Nell Carter, who was a singer. Nell Carter was a singer, and what I love about this is she actually sings the theme song and is the star of the show.
Okay, that's pretty fun.
And so, yeah, it's really kind of good. And so she is a housekeeper in this family, and there's hijinks, crazy hijinks. My favorite one from the intro is that she was vacuuming up and then bent over to pick something up and accidentally put the vacuum in the fish tank and sucked all the water in the fish up. Like, just hilarious little tidbits and things that happen on the show that I can just see right now. Give Me a Break. Excellent 80s theme song, and I love that she sang it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to drama.
Oh, one
go ahead.
It just dawned on me when we were talking about earlier when we were talking. I want to mention here. I won't talk long on it. The Bill Nye the Science Guy theme. I just thought about because I've been thinking so strictly on narrative shows. I didn't even think about Bill Nye. But yeah, the Bill Nye the Science Guy theme. I just wanted to mention because I love it.
I mean. I just didn't realize that we were doing. I mean, I could have put the Double Dare theme in here.
I know. Like, I didn't even think about some of that. I'm like, those are TV themes, but
Double Dare theme is pretty good.
I like that one.
Yeah. Okay, just Nickelodeon themes in general.
Okay, let's do drama.
Okay.
So drama, best of for me. This one was, like I said, I think the easiest category, and I think if I'm being completely honest with myself, it's the Mad Men theme.
Really?
No questions asked. Yeah, I love that theme song. It just does such a good job of, like, it's got this, and from what I've read, it was designed this way. It's got this Hitchcock feel to it. It's just it's such an odd theme because it sounds modern, but it sounds of that era too. Like in the,
it does.
Like
it does.
It's like if someone in that era tried to write a song that like I wonder what they'll be listening to in the year 2000. That's what they would have written. And
no, you're right.
It's just got like this. There's an aesthetic value to it that I love, and I think, and it goes the visuals of like it just goes so well with the tone of that show. It's one I'd never skip it when I watch Mad Men on Netflix or whatnot. I love it. But some other big ones for me: X-Files, as we mentioned earlier, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad's a pretty good one. House has a great one. Although if you watch House on Prime Video, which it is. All the seasons are on Prime Video. It kind of frustrates me because like some seasons have a different, like the theme song that is mostly known as the House theme song. I think it's called Massive Attack, or it's called Teardrop, and it's by a band called Massive Attack. I think. So it was its own song. I don't think it was written for House. So there's issues with the rights. So there were seasons of the show that had a different theme song that's basically like a knockoff version of that, and it's not very good. But if you get the actual House theme, it's quite good. I think it's in season 2 on the Prime Video. I don't know why on other seasons it's the other theme. House has a great theme. And a very recent one, Better Call Saul, has a great theme. Has a great short little bluesy theme that I always am happy to hear, and about once a month we'll randomly look up somebody doing a guitar cover of it on YouTube because I just enjoy watching people play things that I can't play on guitar.
It is very fun. It's a fun one. for my drama, I went way outside the box.
Okay.
So originally, I was going to go with all instrumental. I was going to bring in like an instrumental. So I'm going to do my honorable mentions first.
Okay.
And it's kind of this instrumental trio. It's Mad Men, it's Game of Thrones. I mentioned it before, Friday Night Lights, which has this very haunting guitar riff.
Okay.
And what my favorite thing about that is it's the theme song over the opening credits, but it also is a musical cue within the show.
Oh, cool.
Which I just think is really kind of fun. And then the original Mission Impossible, which to be a TV theme that lasted only 2 seasons of a show, or 2 different shows across multiple seasons. I think they tried to remake it in the 90s. But it's been on all the movies. Like, it's the same song.
Yeah.
They've modernized it a little bit, but it's the same stinking song. It's pretty awesome.
They tried to kill it one time by having Limp Bizkit cover it for MI2, but that song, the song survived. It still persevered. It's a testament to its staying power when Fred Durst can't ground you into oblivion.
No, my go-to. You may have never heard of this show. You've probably never seen a minute of it.
Okay.
It's a show called Firefly. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, with Nathan Fillion, right? Is that?
Yeah. It's Joss Whedon. It's the show he did kind of after Buffy, and it was a 1-season kind of space western.
Yeah,
Joss
Alan
Whedon
Tudyk's
wrote
in it,
the
right?
lyrics. Alan Tudyk's in it.
I've seen the movie.
Okay, you've seen Serenity.
Yeah, a friend made me watch it. He was like, "Have you ever seen Firefly?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, we can still watch the movie. I think you'll like it." And I was like, "I don't think I will if I've never watched the show." And I don't recall liking it. But
The movie's its own thing. It doesn't have to. I'm surprised he got a movie made. But Firefly is a space western in every sense of the word, and it has this great little fun theme song that has, like, the music to this theme song could be on any Clint Eastwood movie and would fit right in.
oh,
It's really kind of good little western
nice.
theme music.
All
right.
Yeah, I have to check it out. That's one of those. I have a lot of friends who love Firefly, and obviously there's a really passionate fan base around that feel that the show got done dirty by getting canceled. And
It did. I'm not gonna say the show's some amazing thing. I just like I like the theme song.
Fair enough. So let's talk. We won't dwell on the negative too much. No one needs that in their life right now. But
right.
we have to talk worst. Again, that is the verbal contract we set up for ourselves when we
That's
when we
exactly
created
right.
this. We should have just called this the BOWO podcast, the best of.
Yeah.
But I guess that's whatever. Everybody, we like negative things.
It's been done.
It's been done. Everything's been done. Nothing is original. Art is dead. Worst of. So for me, we'll do the same thing. We'll start with cartoon. This might be blasphemous to some folks. I know. I have just never. This show has never clicked for me. I've watched some episodes I thought were great. I love the mechanics of how this show is made, and I love how that they are able to comment on stuff with such great speed because of the way the show is made. I'm talking about South Park, to stop being cryptic. The South Park theme song, though, I hate. And I blame partially I blame this on I started to put Family Guy here. I don't like the Family Guy theme either, and I think it's because I'm a Simpsons loyalist. But I've just never gotten South Park. Like I said, I've seen things I liked on it, but most of the time it just doesn't. That style of humor doesn't work for me, which I think hurts the theme song even more. The theme song's done by Les Claypool, whose music has never clicked with me. It's just all across the board that the South Park theme is, at least at the moment, for the purpose of this episode, my least favorite cartoon TV theme song.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, but it's kind of the purpose, I guess. It's supposed to be sort of abstract and weird, which is all of Primus and Les Claypool's virtuosic basis, but he just really, his music's weird, and he's in the band, does the band Primus is his band, and none of that music's ever clicked with me. And the theme song for South Park is basically a Primus song.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the South Park documentary 6 Days to Air?
Yeah, that's what I guess was hinting at before.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I love more
fantastic.
of the idea of the show and what they're able to do with it, and I do love.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've seen some incredible things from South Park. Like I've seen like their commentary on certain topical events and stuff is great, and I love the position that Matt Stone and Trey Parker take.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are two guys that I would like love to have a conversation with, but I'm just not a South Park guy. I've tried. I've really tried too. Like I've really tried, but
I agree. It's not great. I liked it for a few years when I was in college, very early on, just kind of as a rebellious type
yeah.
thing. It's pretty bad. My worst is what I find the most annoying, and it's the SpongeBob theme song. I could never get into SpongeBob. I was just past the demo, I guess, when it kind of came out. And I know it's not for kids per se, and there's humor in there, and I just couldn't do it. And the song is the worst. The song is super annoying.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the point to some degree. Like the song sounds like SpongeBob's personality, you know what I mean? But it's just been so played at this point that it's hard to. Yeah, it's hard to overlook it. SpongeBob came out when I was like 11, so I was starting to get out of cartoons a little bit. I was starting to move more towards, like preteen and my teenage years. So I was never a huge SpongeBob person, but the theme song is quite annoying.
Yes.
But there's some great music that's been done for SpongeBob, like some of the songs they've done in the show. They did a SpongeBob album. I think it's called what's it called? I can't remember the name of it, but it's like the whole album is done like in the style of the Beach Boys, and it's actually like great, like Beach Boys, like Pet Sounds era Beach Boys music, but with SpongeBob singing it. But some of the songs are great, but the theme song's not one of them.
Interesting.
Okay, so for comedy for me, we already mentioned it twice, but or both of these, I should say. 2.5 Men is the manly. It's the worst. It's absolute worst. That show's awful. The theme song's terrible. It's not. Yeah, it's awful. That's my hands down my least favorite that I can think of. The Brady Bunch theme is also very annoying, super annoying.
I agree. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Almost as terrible as my new annoyance, because we're rewatching Saved by the Bell with the kids.
Getting ready for the reboot.
And we are getting ready for the reboot. I actually am enjoying rewatching these episodes. I've seen every episode 100 times.
Yeah.
But rewatching it through the kids' eyes is really kind of fun. We're in the middle of season 4, I guess. And I'm just so over that song. Even the kids are like, can we just fast forward that? Like,
right.
they hate it so much. My personal, the one I thought of when I thought of hatred is the Blossom theme song. Were you familiar with Blossom?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I when I was a kid, I had a big crush on Mayim Bialik.
I had a crush on Six. Her friend.
Oh, okay. Is that
in the show?
I don't know who that is.
I don't remember who that is. I just remember that was her best friend, and I wanted to be Joey Lawrence.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I don't. This is. I was gonna say I want to work this bit and like flesh it out, but I think this is the full bit. Joey Lawrence talks to Owen Wilson. Wow. Whoa. Wow. Whoa. That's
you should talk to Letterman about his Oprah Uma bit from the 1995 Oscars. Are you familiar with this?
I'm not.
Okay, Letterman hosted the Oscars one time.
Okay.
And it went so poorly.
Okay.
And one of his jokes was he stood on the front and he looked at Uma Thurman and then he looked at Oprah Winfrey and he said, Uma, Oprah, Oprah, Uma. And that was the joke.
Okay. I love it.
And he made fun of it like on the show for years after.
Yeah.
But he never would do the Oscars again. It's absolutely it's in history as the worst performance. But
so I think what I'm going to do is the bit will be Owen Wilson and Joey Lawrence see a meteor shower, and it's just wow, whoa,
whoa,
wow. That's it. All right, let's hit drama. Or did we? Wait, no. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we haven't done drama. Sorry. Sorry. Drama. This one was tougher for me to think of an original drama song that I don't like. So I kind of cheated a little bit, but I'm going to go with all of the CSIs that use Who songs by the band.
Do you not like the Who, or you don't like
love the Who.
Lack of originality?
I don't like the lack of originality, and I also don't love the idea that the Who keeps licensing their music out to these TV shows. Although I've read interviews with Pete Townsend where he's like, "Look, it pays really good. I don't care. Like, I don't care what people say. It pays great, and it involves no work from us, and we get paid a lot of money to do it." So I get it. I'm not someone who sits there and goes, sell out or whatever. Actually, that kind of mentality really annoys me. But there's something about the Who songs being so ingrained in the CSI culture, in the CSI mythos, that I'm going to pick that.
Okay. It took me a while to discover the worst, and then I remembered the theme from Walker, Texas Ranger. Are you familiar with this theme?
Yeah, sorry. I was looking through our notes and I just saw it and I was like, I didn't even think about that. Like, it's like spoken word, isn't it? Like it's him.
It is spoken. It's him. It's Chuck Norris, which it's one of the few things he couldn't do, and it's spoken word over this. I don't remember the exact lyrics, but it's like, Texas is a ranger, and something like that. But it's like he's just like, it's awful. It is absolutely awful.
Yeah. Although the Conan, have you ever seen the Conan O'Brien Walker Texas Ranger Lover? It's one of my favorite.
It's one of my favorite bits ever.
Yeah, it's great. If I'll try to remember to post.
Mid-90s Conan is excellent.
Oh yeah.
Mid-90s Conan.
See, I got into Conan at the same time I got into the X-Files, or right around the same time. So I got into the X-Files when I was probably like 13, and that was about when I got into Conan too. So I would stay up really late during the summer, watch Conan. I had a whole schedule. I'd watch Conan, or I'd watch Letterman, I'd watch Conan, and then I would watch the X-Files would come on. And then by the time the X-Files were going off and a rerun of Conan was coming on, I'd watch it again. So I have a devout love of Conan. And I think those summers, it's like 2 summers for me, like going into high school, made me the person I am today. Just X-Files and Conan all night.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, that's it for TV themes.
Yes.
It was
a fun
one.
We hope you've enjoyed.
I wish we could have played some clips.
I wish we could have, but we played the clips in our head.
Yes.
And all of you that are listening, now you get to go. I hope many of you paused this and then immediately YouTubed the clip and looked it up.
Right.
That you at least made a list to go back. Thank you for listening. I hope you have as much fun listening and reminiscing, and maybe listening to some things for the first time. I guarantee you, somebody listening to this has never heard of "Give Me a Break" or the Growing Pains theme song. So go check it out.
One that I would recommend people listening to, I don't remember if I mentioned it earlier, but it's one of my favorites. I had it in my honorable mentions for comedy for best, but I think I skipped it by accident. The Mary Tyler Moore theme.
It's great.
Is wonderful. It's great. It's one of my favorites, and I think it's a song that stands on its own. So people should go listen to these, and like I said, we'll try to post some links to some of these articles that have a good, nice, concise list that you can listen through, and thank us for reminding you, or blame us for getting the Walker Texas Ranger theme in your head.
Yes. Well, thanks as always for joining us. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Find us on Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, YouTube, everywhere. Listen to the show and enjoy. Email us at bowopod@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, @bowopod. Interact with us any way you can. We love to talk and interact with you, and thanks for help spreading the word.
Absolutely. Thanks, as always, to the band Amigo out of the Charlotte, North Carolina area for our theme music throughout the episode, and to Wes Forbus for our podcast artwork. Most of all, thank you guys for listening to Best of or Stuff.
Whoa.
Sitting at home in quarantine is really pretty tough. The kids are louder every day, and you just don't bathe enough. And your quarantine beard just will not grow. And you really want to know
how long till this pandemic ends? And you can finally hug your friends. High five and laugh, take off the mask. The stimulus check is spent. You want to know when will this pandemic end?
BOWO podcast was filmed before a live studio audience.